This is Hidden Killers Live with Tony Bruschi, Stacey Cole, and Todd Michaels.
Brendan Banfield was an IRS criminal investigation agent trained in interrogation, evidence analysis, and how criminals get caught. According to prosecutors, he used that training to build a murder plot designed to look like a home invasion. He allegedly created a fake profile on a fetish website using his wife's identity, spent a month grooming a stranger to play the role of an assaulter, then shot that man in the head and stabbed his wife to death while their 4-year-old daughter waited in the basement, backpack on, coat zipped up, ready to go to the zoo. If the prosecution's theory is true, this wasn't a crime of passion. This was a federal agent using his expertise to commit the perfect murder and nearly getting away with it. Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent, chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, with us here to continue to break this thing down. Robin, when you look at the prosecution's theory of the case, a federal agent allegedly building that months-long murder plot using the fetish website, a patsy, in a staged crime scene. What does that level of planning tell you about the psychology of the person behind it?
He had a lot of confidence in his, if it was him doing that, he had a lot of confidence in his ability to pull it off. And I think it's if it is him, an overinflated confidence that he could pull it off, because this is not what he did for a living. He was an investigator, but he wasn't a homicide investigator. And there's a huge difference. And we've seen it multiple times. People can't stage garbage like this and get away with it very, very frequently anyway. It's tough to. So I think if it is him, it's way overconfidence in that. To me, the entire thing today, every time we dive into this, I kind of go down a different road and explore a little bit further. And so today I was really going down exploring. What was the guy's name they lured in? Ryan, I think is his name.
The other man.
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan.
I always forget his name, but yeah.
So I'm always looking for patterns to establish what the normal life of all these people are. And that's why we're all over the place. And everyone is still up in the air on whether defense is right, prosecution's right. I mean, it's because there's just a lot of crazy. And so the thing I was really looking at was Ryan. He's the one who really stands out to me as, for him to have done this crime like the defense is saying, it would be a massive deviation from his baseline of what we know right now. We could get more data on him coming in, but it could be a deviation. As I even looked, the other thing I was looking at too, then I looked at the wife that was murdered. I looked at what are the probabilities and what do people generally do if they're into BDSM? And because I was thinking that was going to be an outlier for someone like her with her background to look at it. And nope, it's actually 50-50 males, females. And I think it's like 40% are exploratory and that kind of thing. So it kind of fits it falls within a realm of possibility within a normal plane of someone. So again, I'm just always looking for what's an outlier. And so right now I'm leaning towards the kid coming in thinking he's going to get his jollies off as the outlier who all of a sudden kills someone by knife. It doesn't really fit.
I mean, it's all just so bizarre. I've said before, I feel like everybody in this story has a different view on what they were expecting to have happen here. And I think that's where it gets all so confusing. The wife, Christine, who's dead, she was just expecting to sleep in. That was her plan for the day, or at that moment in time. The au pair had the story that she was going to be taking the kid to the zoo. She knew that she wasn't going to do that, according to her. But then we go to this guy that was coming in, Ryan coming in. He thinks it's some sort of agreeable fantasy role play thing he's going to do. You have the au pair. I don't quite know what she's thinking, but I don't know how involved she truly is in the longer term planning of this, because I think there's so many questions about what she's required to say right now to get the deal that she's getting, and she's probably willing to say anything at this moment. And now we know Netflix is on the line too, and they want a story. So, and she wants to get something out of it, and she's 25, and she's young, and she's dumb.
Yeah.
And she's going to do whatever is going to be in her best interest. And that's going to be saying and doing whatever the hell. I mean, if you looked at her testimony this week, I didn't find her very convincing for either side. I found her very convincing for herself. That was my take. And then you got Brendan here. If he did this, you know, it is what it is. I think he had everybody confused, but I mean, it's just such one hell of a ruse to think, okay, I got to get this person thinking this and this person thinking that, and everybody's got to kind of converge at the same time, and it's all going to look like this, and it's going to play out like that. And for 17 months, he didn't get arrested. It worked. They were onto her, somewhat, and then she, you know, allegedly led them on to him. It's a lot to wrap your mind around.
Which is really interesting too, because, you know, and you said it, not me. You know, she comes across as really dumb, being the au pair.
Yeah.
And when you say she's not convincing, I agree. But she is under stress. She's given lots of nonverbals. Her baseline for stress is high, but a lot of things cause stress. I mean, she's very uncomfortable, obviously, and it's very genuine. She's not putting on a show in there. But the way, and when you said dumb, it's funny. It's like that word really kind of resonated because she doesn't seem very connected. Like everyone's saying, is she having memory lapses? Does it come from stress or trauma? Or is she just dumb? I mean, there's a high probability in my mind that she just doesn't have any idea what the hell she's talking about.
Well, and thank you for bringing up too that, you know, it could be a number of factors. She seems very uncomfortable. She may not be used to public speaking, and that's exactly what she's doing right now. She is on stage. So if she's not comfortable in that realm, you're going to be seeing some things that, you know, and I'm not defending her, but any one of us, if you're not used to that, you are going to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah. You know, the biggest thing I do when I train and teach nonverbal behavior and their indicators, and a lot of people, and that's why I actually researched if any nonverbal experts are saying anything about her yet, and everyone is they're holding back because of this reason. The charlatans out there and the carnival trick people, when it comes to human behavior, will tell you all the tells for deception, touching the nose and stress indicators and all the things you're seeing her doing. But the real true masters and experts at this will tell you, no, those are stress indicators. They're indicating that she's under stress. And a lot of things can cause stress. Now, if you have negative confirmation bias and you think stress is being caused by deception, and you're going to think it's only deception. If you have different confirmation biases, you're going to think it's something else. Or if you go into it with eyes wide open, you go in with curiosity and ask yourself, what does that mean? And so all we can really assess right now is she is under stress, and there's a lot of things that could be causing it. Then you put it with her behavior and the things she's saying. But like you say, it's extremely complicated.
But even
I want to get more into her in just a little bit, but I want to stay on Brandon for a little bit, and talk on him, because he's an interesting duck, a very odd duck to be watching too. And there's a lot of things I want to talk about that he's allegedly said to her, but I want to talk about his behavioral cues of what we're looking at there. I don't know what to make of this guy. Watching him in that courtroom, he's very fidgety. He seems to be writing a lot. I don't know what he's constantly taking notes on, but he seems to be vigorously taking notes. This is my take, and I want to get everybody's take. He doesn't feel like he's exuding like guilt. He exudes shame. Like he just got caught doing something. He's got his head down a lot. He's very much kind of like, it's almost like deflecting attention. He doesn't make eye contact seemingly with anybody. He's always kind of like glancing up to see who's looking at him around him. And then he's like, his eyes are right back down. And he should be ashamed. I mean, this case, if he had anything to do with this, and if he did, even if he didn't have anything to do with this, he had a life of chaos that was going on by his own doing, with the affair, with the au pair. I mean, and it's all, the dirty laundry is out in the open, and he's probably very shameful of it. But I'm going to be honest here too. I get a little touch here of maybe I'm completely off, but I'm speaking just from my own experience. I get a little touch of maybe some Asperger's going on here, of just kind of some uncomfortable social uncomfortable in any sort of a social setting feel going on with this guy. And I don't know, all of it put together, that's what I'm seeing. I don't know that I'm seeing a murderer, although who knows? But it's a weird cornucopia of behavior in this guy.
Yeah.
Let me be, Robin, before you get going,
Go
one
ahead.
of our viewers had pointed out a few minutes ago, that his body language in court is doing him no favors, constantly scribbling, shifty-eyed. So again,
which to me can read one of two ways. It can read you're shamed, or you can have some of a touch of the tism, as some of us say, who have it, where it's like, yeah, there's a little bit there, which can make you kind of socially awkward. It doesn't mean you're guilty, but people will certainly look at you like you are.
Well, and again, you're in an environment that you normally are not in. This isn't something that it's not like going out to a nightclub or a bar or a restaurant. It's not something you can kind of practice. This is a completely different situation that if you're not used to it, I think even, those of us who've been in media, that would be disconcerting. I've got a court date coming up for a divorce and it terrifies the shit out of me. Sure. And I do this for a living. So
there's, go ahead.
I recognize the uncomfortable, but again, it could be guilt, it could be shame, or it could be that's just how his brain works. This is how he operates his whole life, and he's never found a way to get beyond that. I get that. It's hard to know. I'm sorry, Robin. Go ahead.
Yes. So there's another. I think all those elements are part of what he's going through, but there's also another element there too. So he is most likely more comfortable in that courtroom than most people in there. Because he spent time in courtrooms, because if he's prosecuting cases on behalf of the IRS. So he's going to have one affect that's a little more neutral, I would think, just because of exposure to the courtroom. And also the type of investigator I believe him to be, it's process, procedure, data, details. The amount of writing and scribbling he's doing is very indicative of someone that is very, very process oriented. And to me, what he's doing is including all those things. I'm not negating anything anyone's included, but I'm adding, cascading on top of that. He is working the problem the way he works problems. In order for him to work and focus amongst chaos, he closes down, he shuts out noise, and he focuses on what he's doing to work the problem. Haven't seen I haven't seen a huge amount of emotional leaking. I mean, you notice some good things, Tony, I think are very accurate. But at the same time, though, I literally think he's in problem-solving mode, and because of the way he's focused with all those emotions you mentioned, probably some shame, embarrassment, and just an uneasy feeling about what's going on. Obviously, it's his life on the line here. But at the same time, I see behaviors of someone who's practiced at learning how to focus, shut out external input so I can focus and work the problem, because this is what he did for a living. I guarantee you, if you were to see him or you to talk to any of his colleagues, that his way he probably operated at work, at his cubicle, probably looked very, very similar to what you're seeing in the courtroom.
Yeah, you're probably right. How convenient or how strategic, I guess, depending on how you're looking at it, depending if you're looking from the prosecution or the defense's standpoint on this, is the fact that the experts, the people who went and looked at the digital forensics of the devices, that came back and said, it looks like it was Christina was on these websites herself doing it. It doesn't seem to look that any of this was on his own devices or anything. Well, they've cleared that up in court. The prosecution obviously knew that they were going to be arguing this. So they said, well, they waited until Christine was in bed. Then they popped open her laptop, and then that's when they started doing the profile stuff on her devices, so it would look like she was doing it. That's another level of planning right there. Not impossible if you're thinking ahead. If you have some experience, maybe in criminal investigations in some way, shape, or form, maybe with the IRS, maybe involving probably almost exclusively digital type profiles and such. Maybe you have some insight into how people make things look in ways that they're not truly supposed to look. What's your take on that? Do you think that that's something that this man was capable of, that he was thinking that far enough down the road to, well, let's make sure we're doing it on her devices, not mine, so then the alibi works out even stronger?
It makes sense that he would have the knowledge to do that, because that's one way. I mean, so think about it. So we put on a thought experiment hats. So he's investigating IRS crimes and types of money laundering crimes. And so one of the things you do when you do that, when someone says, oh, it was so-and-so in my house, not me. Well, they have the tools in order to identify whether it's you or not you, because he's doing just this for a living. So it would make sense that that is what he did. In the planning. At the same time, though, that's why I countered it with, I did the research on what's the probability she would be doing it on her own or him. And it literally is 50-50 pretty much. It's males slightly edged out females on this, which kind of blew my mind a little bit. But it's within the realm of possibility. He did do that. That's why I think it's a plausible road they're going down.
Well, I mean, if he planned this out enough to have it be, there's the patsy that's coming in, and I mean, everybody's got their roles here in this play that he's laying out. It makes sense that he went to that level of detail, because if he's doing that level of detail over here, I'm going to think he's probably trying to cover all of his bases over here. It's almost like it was too planned out in some ways, where, you know, maybe he did a little bit less, it would look a little less, I don't know, suspicious. The McDonald's thing is the other piece of this pie that's starting to kind of sway it. I've been very much kind of in the middle here. I've been really trying to examine both sides of this. But as more evidence is coming out, I'm starting to sway more towards like, yeah, Brandon, I think you probably did this.
And so here's where we can also look at his background, like we've highlighted, and say, all right, so here's a guy that's really experienced at investigation, process procedures, digital forensics kind of stuff. And he set himself up, again, we're conjecture that he is the one, we're going down that road for a second, that he was the one that did it. It would make sense that he's got the skill set to set all this up prior to the murder itself. And then he bungles the murder because he's got no reps.
Yeah. He's
the
never infrastructure is there.
Right. He's never investigated any other stuff whatsoever. And where's it all falling apart is the story behind, well, why did this guy with zero criminal record, zero knowledge, zero anything, mid-30s, come in for what he thought was going to be a BDSM session with at least the wife, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he does a very personal murder and he stabs her.
Yeah.
That's what really, and so where's it deviate from the norm? It deviates from the norm where he doesn't have experience.
The McDonald's.
Oh, Stacey doesn't like it though. Go ahead, Stacey.
the McDonald's part is what's getting me to. Is he's at the McDonald's. He gets a call from Juliana and returns home. Just a quick. It's the bat signal, basically. It's like, oh, okay. And then he goes back to the house. Christine, the victim, his wife's phone is in a drawer in the kitchen.
Because who puts their phone
exactly
in whoever freaking does that.
So she can't call out. She can't do anything. So she's stuck there. I mean, so that's purposefully done by somebody. And then they also both, I mean, this is like the over planning of it that I kind of chuckle at, where it's like they both call her phone for some reason. Just to make it look like, well, we're just trying to get in touch with her. Like, and do you normally call her at this time in the morning for any ever? You know, but they both do, just to like, because. And the bat signal at the McDonald's to come home when he normally wouldn't be coming home, and then just happens to walk in and finds all this going on. But the only reason he came back home was because he got the signal from the au pair.
Is he normally at McDonald's?
Well,
exactly. I don't believe so.
He was trying to form a pattern, so he was going to McDonald's to actually create that pattern.
How long before do we know?
That I don't know. I don't recall that.
Human beings typically don't form a pattern of behavior for only a couple of weeks ahead of time, especially if it's going to be an eating pattern, the time of day pattern, the types of food you eat pattern. You can for periods of time if you have your New Year's resolution to get healthy, but I don't think the New Year's resolution or any resolution to start going to McDonald's more is part of that. I mean, not laying any shade on McDonald's, but you know, it would have to be an established pattern. That's what I'd be looking for. Like, how long does this pattern exist? We've seen this with criminals before too. they try to establish a pattern. I mean, look at Koberger. He tried to establish a pattern,
exactly,
for a couple months. It doesn't work. I mean, it's easy to see that. That's why I'd be curious. Every time we see a bit of evidence, I want to know how long was that in place for.
The other piece that has struck me on this is it's not just this picture. Everybody's honing in that there is a picture of him and the au pair on their nightstand when they went in and busted it down 8 months later. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. What I am surprised by is that anyone is capable of still calling that your bedroom after there was a double homicide there, whether you had anything to do with it or not. I mean, clearly they had something to do with it, but it was, self-defense in their words, and they were killing this murderer who was killing the wife and assaulting her. I don't care. Like, no matter any way you scratch that, I'm never going in that room again.
And that's a really good thought, you guys, because there are so many other places to sleep. What does that say about somebody, Robin, if you can kind of dive into that behavior? Yeah. What does that say about somebody that could get back in? I don't know if it's the same mattress, but same room. It
was a new bedroom set. They got rid of the carpet. They put wood flooring in. So they did an HGTV renovation on the homicide room. I mean, it's just like that just says something about the capabilities of that human being. Not only in this aspect of their life, but in every aspect of their life. Because if you're able to do that and be sound asleep and be sleeping well in the room where the double homicide took place, there's something not firing right.
Yeah, what does that say about somebody who could actually do that? I mean, maybe 10 years after the murder, if they're still in that house, it would be okay. Maybe.
I don't think I could live in the fucking house, but
So it definitely shows a level of dehumanizing of an individual to do that, especially if using a knife to begin with is dehumanizing to begin with also. And I love what creative put down there. She called the house our house. And so when you have an individual that dehumanizes and regards other human beings as a screwdriver that can just be thrown out, and they have a sense of entitlement, thinking that I am actually the person that the guy loves and not you. This is my house, our house. Gives a level of psychological attachment to that as hers. And so it was never the other individuals or screwdrivers anyway. So I think it's just a level of just objectivity of the woman, the wife that was killed.
Just the disconnect of humanity, I think that it would take from the guy, from Brandon too. I mean, you don't have empathy. You don't have. You're devoid of some human emotion there.
Well,
if you're able to sleep in that room, whether you were saving your wife or you were committing a murder, whatever the hell the reality is, neither equates to ever being able to sleep in that room again.
That door should have been shut and never locked. Yeah, nobody could ever walk in there again except for investigators.
And also, this isn't like the wife's friend that he cheated on her with. I mean, this is a 20-year-old when it started. I think she said 20 or 21.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, so it's not even a love affair. It's a creepy, almost pedophile in my mind.
It's a predatory. It's a predatory relationship.
The other thing I looked up on this too is who hired her. It actually hasn't come out in court yet or anything. Because I'd be curious, was it him that hired her, that was interested in getting an au pair or not? And they said what came out so far it was a joint decision to hire one to help her out, the wife. But at the same time, though, I'm like, I was just curious because, again, data points, you're looking in the case, which is kind of all over the place. I'm always looking for data points that explain creepy. And he comes across just the age of her makes it creepy. Then you have all the other things that are creepy and weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised because at the end of the day here, look, if this is the defense is right and this was a murder or this was not a murder, they were going in and saving the wife and whatever. I'm not surprised that they're still together. That doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me they're gonna have a picture on the nightstand. She's again. I'm not trying to be negative, but when we're 22 to 25, every single goddamn last one of us is young and dumb. And it's just how we evolve. We're all young and dumb at that age, some more than others. So she's young and she's dumb and she's trauma bonded now to this dude. So I'm not surprised they're still together. Either way, but again, just what surprises me the most is the ability to be in that bedroom. Let's talk more about her. Juliana Perez Mangalas is the prosecution's entire case. She's the only person alive who was in that bedroom when Christine Banfield and Joseph Ryan were killed. She testified that she watched Brendan Banfield shoot Ryan in the head and stab his wife repeatedly in the neck. She admitted on the stand that she fired the second shot into Ryan's chest, but she also lied for over a year. She wrote letters from jail promising to take the blame for Banfield. She told his mother she would give my life for his, and she only flipped after Banfield was arrested, after she was hospitalized from stress, and after his family stopped paying her legal bills. Now she's negotiating a deal with Netflix. Media producers are paying her commissary, and a letter to her mother she wrote, "We do deserve something." The defense says she's a liar who will say anything to walk free and get paid. The prosecution says the blood evidence will back her up. Robin Dreeke, retired FBI Special Agent, Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, with us. What do you think is going on here? Because I think, in my opinion, two things can be true at the same time. Yeah. She may want to just, get back home and move on with her life. And maybe the story she's telling is true. And she also does want to profit from it. And, it seems reality has presented her a path to do just that. Does that make her a bad person? I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be if she's lying to do it, but is she lying?
Yeah, like you said, it's all true. I mean, and all of it's plausible-ish. So I just go back to the basic fundamental here, the fact that she got manipulated at the very beginning by him. She was groomed by him. She was taken advantage of by him. And so the stranglehold I think he had on her emotionally to do things that were not necessarily in her best interest from the very beginning. I mean, having an affair with a husband in a household that you're working was the first thing that she was manipulated into. And so from that point on, he had control of her. To the extent of that trauma bonding, who knows at this point, but for her to lie on his behalf because of what she thought was love. But remember, she was brainwashed into thinking this was real. Our house, she thought this was her entitlement to be his spouse afterwards. And she even said in the stand, and I do believe that she wasn't thinking too far in advance. In other words, she wasn't doing the thought experiment of what comes next. And I do believe that. So I just think she was a tool in his life. And so we keep going back to what was his plan? When did it come into action? And is she taking advantage of it now to benefit herself? Sure. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
She's also young and dumb, which is what Tony mentioned.
Yeah, sure.
So why
Absolutely.
not? This is all she knows. And right now her future is terrifying.
And she's in foreign country. And her I mean, there's a lot of factors, external factors that play into decision making, besides the fact that under 24 at the time and the lack of prefrontal lobes being formed. And I mean, there's tons of chaos going on in that brain. But it keeps going back to, would she have done anything like this had she not met him?
Well, I guess, that's a good question. And I think the other question too is, would she be testifying this way if there wasn't this deal in front of her?
No.
If there wasn't going back, would she be saying this story? Because if the story is true, why wouldn't you be arguing this story? That would be, that of course would be. But why did it take all those months for her to decide to do that? She's saying she finally cooperated after 9 months because of guilt and shame, and that the world deserved to know what really happened. Prior to that, she was telling the people who were funding her defense that she would take the blame for both of us, and that she would do anything for him. I mean, it's a dramatic flip, but I guess when you're in custody for that long and you have other people on the inside, you're probably telling your story too, they might have talked a little sense into you, going, girl, you got your whole goddamn life in front of you, and you're gonna go down for this dude?
Yeah.
And also, so here's some realistic things that are probably at play behind the scenes too, not outside of just this trial, is in order for prosecution to get to be able to cut a deal, it takes some time to get approvals, especially if you're going to have a deal where someone's going to get off or be able to be extradited back to the country wants them back. So there's a lot of logistics going on in order to be able to even offer a deal before you can actually offer the deal. And so I think part of the timing and the delay was that, and also maybe prosecution didn't have they thought they had more, that they wouldn't need her as well. And then when they started realizing, in order for us to make this more solid of a case, we actually are going to need her. And so at what point did they say we're going to have to work a deal in order to do X, Y, and Z? Because I don't think, just watching her and looking at her, I don't think any of this was her idea. I don't think any of this. I think people approached her with opportunities, and she took the best thing she could. As you start seeing the romanticized part of, I'll stand by my man, and was weaning away rapidly while she's behind bars. And then you have these other opportunities. Yeah. And then the prosecution actually was able to cut a deal, because that's a really significant deal she got.
But isn't that how she got into this situation in the first place? She was recruited. She was persuaded.
Yeah.
Get some self-esteem, my love.
Yeah.
Right, Patsy.
I don't know that she's capable. I don't know that she's one that is capable. Just kind of judging by her. What have you made of her testimony? I found it very interesting, and maybe this is a tell, maybe it's not. But it's felt like every time she was being asked a question by the defense that kind of maybe insinuated that she's saying these sort of things because of the deal of going back home, she got very kind of clenched up, and she would kind of talk as if it matters, but she would kind of talk a little bit quieter, like she's kind of revealing a secret, but doesn't want to use her full lips to express the words coming out of her mouth. What I don't know. It's like someone telling a secret, where they just. What's your take on it?
So the nonverbals are very congruent. Yeah. It's congruent with uncomfortable sharing the information she's asked to share. What we don't know is making that jump to what's making her uncomfortable sharing that information. But 100%, she is nothing but uncomfortable. But when you look at the quality of answers she's giving so far, they're very shallow. Is it shallow because she's coached, or is it shallow because she just literally knows nothing? I edge on the side of knowing nothing. But
yeah, I feel like if you were coached, you'd be doing better to it.
Yes, exactly. And also, if there's so just thinking about a lawyer's standpoint, I'm not one, so I don't know.
Yeah.
If it's discovered that a witness is being coached, that's tampering, and you can't do that. That's a big no-no, right? And since she leaks a lot of information non-verbally. Yeah. I think it would become very apparent rapidly if she was coached. So I'm on the side she wasn't coached. She was cut a deal that someone told her was a good deal because her boyfriend all of a sudden is not such a good deal anymore. And all of a sudden she's like, all right, I'll finally tell my side of the story. But the problem is, she wasn't super clued in on her side of the story because she was manipulated into taking actions. I really don't think she was aware of what the action she was taking meant. Other than it's now my house. I'm now going to be the woman of the house if we just get rid of this other screwdriver that's in the way.
Well, it sounds like a great plan, a great future. She's got everything taken
20
care
years
of
old,
now. Yeah.
And if you don't know any better, this is how the American life works. And for some people, it does. I mean, go to any country club. I bet you'll find a lot of former nannies that are now wives.
Right. And you know what?
How often does this happen, though? With, I just looked up while we were talking Jude Law. I mean, that was a famous actor who got it on with his nanny and destroyed his life. How often do you think this happens?
A lot.
Every
it doesn't
time.
always end in murder, though. It just ends in an affair and then, a large settlement. And then suddenly the 50-some-year-old is a 20-some-year-old in his bedroom.
The cases we cover generally happen more often than we're aware of, like thousands of times a year. And to the TP's credit, have us all fooled, fake panic, uncomfortable because she's guilty. Maybe. You're right. I mean, that's why nonverbals in cases like this can't be accurately read to assess what it actually means, except that she is completely uncomfortable and stressed. 100%.
Yeah.
But to counter that, she does not give the affect of a great manipulator. And also, so great. So let's go down the road. I love thought experiments.
Yeah.
And so suppose that she is actually she's fooling everyone because she's the world-class manipulator. And actually, maybe she is the true mastermind behind it all. Where did she get those reps?
Oh, good point. Because she's young. Where's that coming from?
She might have, blossoming early reps or desire, but without more time in your job of manipulating the living hell out of people, you're not going to have the reps needed. Now, granted, we don't know a lot about how she grew up, but she was doing this before she went to this family. She was babysitting for another family as an au pair or a babysitter. So I'm looking at, again, if she was more of a master manipulator at this age, we would be seeing, I would guess, because I've never met someone that is actually really, really good, unless you're a great method actor. I don't think she's a great method actor. She would be a bit more demonstrative, I would guess, with her behaviors that we're seeing in the courtroom, and we'd see more varied behaviors, because she would know if she's trying, whether intuitively or not, to manipulate the living hell out of people, she's going to have to demonstrate something other than stress. It's going to have to be empathy. She's going to have tears. She's going to have remorse. She's going to have a lot of other emotions other than I'm stressed and I don't know anything, because that's really her own emotion she's given off.
I get that I feel like she is probably a manipulative person, but she's not a very emotional or convincing manipulative person, which I probably really doesn't bode well for being super effective at being manipulative. Only to the right people, only to the right sort of kind of dopey people that are going to be very attuned to this, or that are going to be almost desperate for something else going on in their life. Someone just like Brendan Banfield. I mean, look at the guy. I mean, these two are like a pair made in hell. They're perfect for each other. They both seem to be very uncomfortable in their own skin, and probably full of bad decisions.
And to Genji's point, they're using sexuality. So I would think that if she did have a skill set, it was going to be in that area at this age.
It's all she's got. She's young and perky, if you know what I mean.
Maybe.
Maybe. I think that's a maybe too. I'm going to go with maybe. I don't.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say it. She's young. They're perky. That's yeah.
Yeah. It's questionable as to what exactly she knew and when she knew it, because she's not convincing on the stand in either direction for herself or the defense. It's very hard to get a read on her. The trial does continue in this next week. Tuesday is when it's going to be back on, and we'll keep watching it and bringing you updates here as we'll see what happens to Brendan Banfield. Let's move on to another case. This is another one that is still developing. Dr. Michael McKee is a vascular surgeon, Ohio State undergrad, Ohio State Medical School. No criminal record. By every external measure, a success story. He married Monique back in August of 2025. You know her as Monique Tepe. Back then, she was Monique Sabatursky in 2015. 7 months after the marriage, she left him. The divorce was finalized in 2017. She moved on. This is nearly a decade ago. She remarried, and in that time has had the ability to have 2 children. So there's some distance. She built a life. And according to police, McKee never moved on. 8 years after the divorce, he allegedly drove from Illinois to Ohio in the middle of the night and shot Monique and her husband, Spencer Tepe, dead in their home while their children slept down the hall. Yeah. Retired FBI agent Maureen O'Connell called McKee a grievance collector. I know someone who uses a different word who's joining us right now to go into wound collecting. Do you think did Maureen steal the wound collector from you and give it a different word or something?
Well, no, actually, I've read Maureen's stuff before.
Or did you steal it from her?
And actually, I stole it from Joe Navarro, who wrote the book Dangerous Personalities, and he wrote he talked about wound collectors in his book. I always give credit. Remember, human beings have been around thousands and thousands of years. Someone came up with it before us, and so
true.
And a lot of times I'll misaccreditize things I hear, but I do know wound collecting came from my friend Joe.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I thought of you right away on this because we've heard McKee described as a grievance collector, a wound collector. Explain what that means behaviorally for someone who hasn't been with us for those conversations. What separates someone who gets hurt and moves on from someone who catalogs that hurt and carries it on for years?
Yeah, and this is one of the easiest things to describe to people because we all have people like this in our lives. We could be one of these people because the world in general, when you're looking behaviorally, is divided in people that are wound collecting victims and they see themselves as a victim of the world around them. And not victim like, oh, you're being victimized by someone, but always seeing it as the world and the universe is out to get them. They're the glass half empty. And it doesn't have to be extreme. It could be just edged slightly down. They're the ones that'll complain about absolutely everything. The sun could be shining, but they said the sun's too bright today.
Yeah.
The rain could be falling and they say, what? And you could be, putting water on flowers that haven't gotten rain in 6 months, and they'll complain about something there. So they will find what's wrong with everything. And usually it centers around how it impacts them. Now, when you bring it to the extremes, when you have a wound collector, what the collection part means is that they're keeping a scorecard and it never gets emptied. Yeah. And so people that are on the other side, they're problem solvers generally. So bad things happen, challenging things happen, things go sideways in life. They face it. They might whine, bitch, complain for the moment, but then it evaporates. They solve the problem. They work the problem, or they ignore it and they move on, they move forward and they keep going. And if you were then to remind them about something, a grievance or something that happened months ago, they go, oh, yeah, I guess I remember that. Whatever. Wound collectors, they will remember dates, details, names of it. And I can be very accurate with this because I know people in my life that do this, but not to this degree. So this guy, it escalated to the point, and I guarantee you this, it's not the only time, and it's not the only things he's wound collected his entire life. I guarantee you this. So he went through medical school. I guarantee you, if you were to talk to any other interns that were with him, they'd say that this guy, all he did all day long was bitch, moan, and complain about everyone else, how he's being victimized. Because one thing that wound collectors also do is they suffer the cult of comparison. They're always going to compare themselves to someone else that got it better and they shouldn't have deserved, and that person shouldn't have gotten as good as me.
And isn't that shocking? Because look at the stature of his life. He is a vascular surgeon. He has made it, by all standards that at least American culture, if you become a doctor, a lawyer, you are at the top echelon of professionality. So he made it. Why wasn't that enough?
Well, because in his mind, he deserved it. And so when I deserve something, I'm entitled to this because of who I am, whether it's because of my background, my hard work, because I'm better than everyone else. And so that narcissism takes effect, as opposed to someone that earns the same title and position, says to themselves, I'm grateful for the opportunity I have to do that. So the Blue Angels, I know I do a lot of flight relations here just because of my son and what he does. Great video of the Blue Angels on Netflix. At least it used to be. Now I think it's on Prime. But anyway, one of the things that the Blue Angels, now these are the jet pilots at the top of their game in the entire universe. I mean, they are the most amazing. They do incredible things in the air. Their slogan they live by every day, I'm just glad to be here. They get ripped left and right for just doing things wrong, doing things sideways. Their motto is glad to be here. My son, jet pilot, glad to be here. Because what people that you can trust in life that have these great title and positions, when they have the humility to be grateful for what they've earned and worked hard for, but the humility to know there's more to go and that they're everything they have is now in service of others, those are the ones you can trust. But the ones that are saying, I deserve it, I'm entitled to more, and then are complaining, bitching, moaning about the life and things around them, those are the wound collectors that are dealing with a lot of unhealthy. Doesn't mean they can't perform, because remember, this has nothing to do with performance. Sometimes it does, but I do know that he had a malpractice suit against him and he ran away.
Yeah, he did.
True.
They couldn't find him.
They couldn't locate him. Yeah.
Wound collector. And I guarantee you,
not being able to be accountable. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Will not own up to it and say I made a fucking
it's
mistake.
not his fault. Never
which
his fault in his
speaks
own mind.
to how all roads lead to narcissism.
Yes.
And
Another one.
that, I mean, that's the end result of this way of thinking. It is a very rigid way of thought. And that's seemingly probably how he's always functioned. To try and figure out, well, how did this guy, because we keep looking at this going, he's a vascular surgeon. I mean, that takes discipline. It takes very rigid thinking to be that disciplined as well.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm not surprised he succeeded in life the way he did with that level of rigidity. I mean, the rigidity to still be hung up on this relationship nearly a decade later to the point that you committed double homicide if he did it. That's rigid as shit, but it can also probably be translated, and it looks like he did translate it into a very high functioning career as well with that way of thinking. It also makes me wonder, that level of insecurity that he was still so plagued by this internally, that he had, he got that wound and he checked that box and he's going to get back at her someday or time, and he certainly, if he did it, he did. That level of thinking, when I look at that, his success, it kind of makes me go, is the success a mask that because it's such a high level of success? There's not a ton of vascular surgeons out there, in numbers. It's a very, it's a group. It's not a huge group because it takes a lot to get there. But it's going quite far in a plight of life. Is that a mask for just the exact opposite on the internal side of someone like this, where he's so empty on the inside that to make up for it, to mask it socially in the world, look at me, look how successful and smart I am, but on the inside, he's just as deeply wounded and empty?
Well, yeah, because what he's chasing what we're all chasing is happiness, contentment. And you said the word success, and success obviously is not about what you're doing, but it's actually the value and the healthy relationships in your life. That's how that's how we as a biological organism really measure success intuitively. It's because when we have happy, healthy, strong relationships, we feel successful. He doesn't understand that, so he's chasing success by accumulation, by materialism, by title and position, which is extremely empty because it'll never satisfy. And so it's just massively indicative of, we've said it numerous times on other cases too, zero emotional intelligence. We are bottomed out on him as well, because he keeps chasing. I guarantee you, he's a completely unhappy man. No title and position in the world will make him happy, because no matter where he goes, he's bringing himself with him. One of the great comedians says it all the time. I think it was Sandler did it on the Saturday Night Live skip once, where you're traveling all the world. We can offer you all these great vacations in the world, but the problem is you're going on them. So you can't escape you. And so the same thing with him. He can't escape his unhappiness because he's trying to satisfy it in a completely wrong way.
Does and I'm wondering about just kind of his plight in life, because I think it's a young thing. It's an inexperience. It's a lack of rep things to think that happiness is going to come from some of the more superficial things in life, the business achievements, the success, the this or that. I mean, it's all great, but it comes down to the relationships, and it comes down to the things that truly matter in life, like you were just talking about. But sometimes you don't realize that, you don't quite grasp that until you had a few more reps. And he's kind of into the point of life, it looks like late 30s, early 40s, I believe late 30s, where you kind of start to see those things almost for the first time. Some are more intuitive at a younger age. A lot of us around that age is kind of when you're like, all right, let me kind of recalibrate what really matters here. I'm wondering if some of that was part of it, and maybe realizing that all those years he was chasing some sort of empty dream. And then it just worked with the wound collecting of realizing that, well, no matter how good I go over here, I'm still empty over here, but he's doing nothing to fulfill this over here. It's just, I'm shameful and I'm angry and all this. But did he hit a point in life all these years later of like, well, it's not getting any better, so I might as well go after what destroyed me?
Well, they said early on too that when listening to family members of his former wife was that, it was very contentious at the very beginning. He had a lot of anger issues apparently. And so he was wound collecting even back then. And so when you think that you're entitled to great, healthy, strong relationships, except because of your own behavior, you're driving everyone away from you, you're blaming them. And so that's part of it. So for some reason, again, it's not public anywhere. I researched it. You can't find it. His arc in his life is anger, resentment, and blaming the world for it. And so he had an inability to forge healthy relationships. And her husband, the one that got killed, was actually completely opposite the dentist, completely opposite personality-wise from him. He's well-liked, well-regarded, family members coming out. And so also you look at the people that's come out in support of the accused murderer, zero.
Yeah.
What do you think we're going to find? We don't have any, obviously, this is all so new. What do you think we're going to find? And this is pure speculation in his digital footprint in the time leading up to this. Do you think we're going to find 8 years of obsession, or do you think we're going to find maybe 3 months of obsession, or a month, or a handful of weeks where he came back into her mind and suddenly he's zeroed in and just had this urge to go do this? What kind of buildup do you think was going on behind the scenes here with a guy like this?
I'm guessing, unless they come up with something else, there's obviously, in my mind, there's some level of stalking, because one of our viewers also said that, how did he know where she lived? I guarantee you he knew where she lived.
Oh, absolutely.
He was probably digitally stalking her for a very long time, and probably, again, this is just trying to put myself in his mind. If I have no other information or input coming to me, he's there online obsessing about her Facebook page, Instagram, whatever she's on, and every time she posted something with a smile, especially a smile with another man or with children, it probably was one more thing that went into that bucket of kerosene to fuel it even more. And so it was just years and years and years. And remember, when you are a wound collector at this level, no wounds ever heal. Every time he's taking another bit of data in, because all he was doing was trying to confirm with that confirmation bias what a horrendous human being she is, and how dare she not like me? How dare she not love me? And so every time she's happier with someone else, it was more and more and more. So whether it came through the digital footprint or another means, that's what was going on.
And do you think that he was stalking the husband as well?
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be kind of a package. So you stalk one, you're probably stalking the other. At the end of the day, what is the end game with somebody like this? I mean, is it a weird fantasy that will never come true of she'll realize the errors in her ways and see what a wonderful person I am and will live happily ever after? Or is it, I'm going to destroy her? End of story.
There's the big question. I would think that the initial desire he had was to make her extremely unhappy, that the marriage would fail and she'd fall into ruin and be crying on his doorstep, begging to come back to him.
Yeah.
And I think
it's so insane.
Well, of course it's insane.
Yeah.
This is what the broken brain thinks when it's so self-occupied and it's all about me. And so in one fantasy, and that's what these people do a lot of times too. They fantasize about what they think would fix them.
Yeah.
And in his mind, what might fix him is that when she suffers and I can be made whole again, because she'll come back to me and say how wrong she was for wronging me and leaving me and leave him for me. And then when she sees that it's only getting better between the two of them, that their life is going on even more, and he might have faced another setback in something, that's the spark that went over the edge.
Can you ever fix these sort of people, or do they just have to you have to hope they find another distraction before their insanity boils over at you?
So these types of people, I believe, can be fixed, because they're broken. They're not born broken. A lot of them, it's environments that that nurture part creates a lot of these imbalances in people. But in order to be fixed, like many of us, you have to be saying, I need to be fixed. And in his mind, I don't think he ever reached, obviously, the place where he felt he needed to be fixed. Everyone else needed to be fixed. And that's the problem, the challenge with people like this is the world is wrong. And just like in Nick Reiner's case, it's conspiracy. Everyone's out to get me.
Well, and they bounce from thing to thing. They bounce from relationship to relationship, job to job. There's never accountability where they look in the mirror and go, holy crap, it's me.
It's me.
I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah.
If only he had a book by Robin Dreeke called It's Not All About Me. Robin, grab the book really quick. Cue you to grab the book. We're going to plug the book. Okay. Oh my gosh, there's the book. Wow. Oh my gosh. And if you call right now, Time Life Music will include a free juicer. But no, seriously, Robin's book is on pre-order right now. It's Not All About Me. You can get it wherever books are sold. He has other lovely ones too that also are great on relationships. Unbreakable Alliances.
Healthy ones.
Code of Trust. You get plenty of reading here. Sizing people up.
That's the one I have. I'm loving it.
Yeah, sizing people up is a good one.
So, yeah, go check out Robin's books wherever books are sold. And if you're starting to feel like, if you're identifying at all with with Michael McKee or the allegations against him, please do some reading.
You can be helped. You can be helped.
Yes, it's okay. And and not to be. We all have elements and moments of being a wound collector.
Yeah.
Yep.
The time to worry about yourself or those in your life is when they can't move on.
Yeah.
And here's the big telltale. If all of a sudden you're sitting down with a family member or friend or something, and all of a sudden they bring up something that happened a couple of years ago where they were wronged and they remember very, very minute details, you're like, huh. Keep taking data points on that. So it's help them move through it.
It's
Just
true.
help them move through it.
Yeah,
we don't need to hold on to that negative energy. It does no good in the world.
Your thoughts in the comment section on YouTube. Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi is where you will find us. Also on our Substack, the link is in the description. It's hiddenkillers.substack.com. Right now, you can join us there. It's ad-free. It's free to join as of right now. And you can also get all of our reporting a day before it goes anywhere else. So check it out. And you can communicate directly with us here in the studio on our Substack. So comments on Substack or YouTube will continue our conversation over there. Until next time, for Robin, for Todd, for Stacy, I'm Tony Bruschi. We will talk again real soon.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Bruschi and the Hidden Killers podcast.